Hey guys, my name is Barbara, or my nickname is Babs. This is Paloma, and I'm a polyglot. I'm a German teacher and also tour guide from Munich, Germany. And today I will tell you about my polyglot journey, how I became a polyglot, and how hard it actually was. I do not want to talk so much about that because this is something for another video, but I also want to talk about how hard it was to have languages in my life when I was younger. So let's start chronologically. I'm now 41, by the way, and I was 10 years old when I started having English in school. Then with 12, I had Latin and I had to take it, so there was no choice. But it's different from school to school. And then with 16, I had French. And I loved French. I liked English. I hated Latin. And I loved French. And back then, guys, I don't know how old you are, but if you're younger than maybe 38, 39, then this might be hard for you to realize. But back then, there was no source of, you could not hear English. You could not see English. You could not ask Google or ChatGPT. By the way, I love it for learning languages. You cannot ask what's the difference between those words if you struggle with differences. ChatGPT is the best. They always explain to you, they give you examples. And it just didn't exist. When you wanted to read an English book, you had to go to the bookstore. You had to order it, go back, pick it up the next day, and it was so precious. And you couldn't just order it or read anything online in English. It just was not available. So when I was 14 years old, I watched Titanic in the movies, and do you say in the movies, in the movie theater? 11 times in English, and I loved it. I loved it, and it was like, oh my God, they speak English, and I understand something. So back then for us, it was not normal to speak, to understand. We had to write exams, and that's how we learned our English. That's what we did. Then French, nothing. There was just nothing available at all. Not even movies. We had this one movie theater where they showed original versions of the movies, so English, but that was not available in French. So you could not hear French, read French. This was just in school. Yeah, anything that I forgot? I don't think so. Maybe I just add something later. Yeah, so I was 16 when I started learning French, and with 18, I said, okay, I love French, so I want to leave school. I do not need the highest graduation, the Abitur. I left a couple of months before this graduation, and I started an apprenticeship to become a foreign language correspondent with 19. So for 2 years, I learned just to write letters of complaint, inquiries, and but just writing. It was just writing. It was not about speaking. Oh yeah, one thing that I forgot. I was 19 years old when I bought my first DVD. And for the first time, the Titanic movie when I was 14, but it was the first time that I could really listen to something in English at home and see that I understand it, so that I can really understand English. I traveled to Spain with 8. No, actually, I did a language exchange for 2 weeks in the summer when I was 15 to Jersey. It's a Channel Island in England. I went to Spain with 18, London with 19. Was it after? No, it was before I bought the DVD. And after I bought it, I think after I went to Australia. So there I could speak and I could communicate, but watching a whole movie or reading a book, of course, is something different still. So yeah, sorry, my nose is itchy. And so with 19, I had the first DVD and also internet with 18 and a half. So there it started that I had this access, but back then there was not, you had to pay per minute. So you could not just surf for hours and hours. You ordered something online and then you had to go offline again because it was so expensive. So I did not use it for language exchange or something for a long time. And then with 21, I graduated as a foreign language correspondent, and I saw that there were no jobs. This combination French, English, was boring. Everybody did that, so just no job. And I said, okay, I study psychology now. So I went back to school, I graduated with Abitur, and then I studied psychology and later international business communication, where English played an important role. So yeah, but with 21, I went back to school and that was it. I did totally forget about my French, and I actually did not forget the French. I also forgot about it. I forgot to practice it. I did not use it. And that was it. End of story. Of course, English, the more I was online, then with, oh no, that was like many years later. Then, but with 30 what? 31, I started having Netflix. With 28, I started watching YouTube. So yeah, just imagine YouTube with 28, which was in 2012. So for the first time, I was really able to say, okay, I want to listen to somebody in English, but just English. So French was totally dead for me. Then actually I have this traumatic story. I love Disney. I worked in Disney World, Florida as well. And I went to Disneyland Paris with my mom many times, and I wanted to order something and I wanted to say, to take away or to take out. And I said, M&E. And because I had, I think it wasn't a book. I had a book and it was like, to take away or something, M&E, and she didn't understand me. So I was so ashamed, and it was such a painful feeling of being ashamed, because my mom had paid my foreign correspondent apprenticeship, and so I said, okay, French don't want to understand me, and I will never speak it again. And I was like 24 or so when I did that. So yeah, exactly, 24. Yeah, so from 21, now we have a huge break. I graduated, and then with 28, I decided to study international business communication, where I had English again, and very intense and intensely. And I also studied other subjects in English. So it was not studying English, but studying economy, for example, in English. And then I was really happy that I had to focus on English more. And I also wrote a translation exam, so it was about translating, and I had to learn much. I had to really study words that I really loved that, but it was just English. So yeah, so from 21, I stopped French with 21, but English on the way, and then of course online and movies and YouTube and so on, and writing and Facebook groups and having friends from all over the world and traveling much. So yeah, English was a big part of my life. Definitely with 26, I worked in Florida in Disney World and at Disney World, and that was it for a long time. And then the pandemic came. I was what was my age? 36. Was it 36? Yeah, 36. I had just, yeah, exactly. It was a bit after my 36th birthday when the pandemic started and the lockdown. And I watched movies and walked in the park, and that was it for many, many months. And in December of 2020, the 1st of December 2020, I remember that I said, hey, I'm so bored. I want to start learning Dutch because I love Dutch. I love the Netherlands. I love Amsterdam. I've been to, Amsterdam. That's how you say it in English. Yeah, Amsterdam. I went there now 4 times. Back then, before when I decided to start with Dutch, I had been there 2 times before, and I think now four times. Yes, now 4 times, and once to Rotterdam. And I said, hey, I want to learn Dutch. So that's what I did. And I started with a course that I bought on Udemy for €9. And it was okay. But I realized that I'm not a watcher and listener. I love writing. Oh, no, actually, you know what? I forgot something. In 2012, with 28, I had Yes, I had a Turkish boyfriend, and I said, hey, I see this as a chance and I want to learn Turkish. So I did learn Turkish. I forgot that with 28. And I was really good, actually, because now I sometimes see Turkish things and I remember them. And also the Hungarian grammar is very, very similar. So I have to think about my Turkish many times now, because whenever I see something in Hungarian, I'm like, okay, That was the same in Turkish. So yeah, I learned Turkish and I loved it a lot, but then we broke up and it was so painful for me to practice it. And back then there was no, at least for me, no website where I could find a teacher or something. So I wanted to go to Istanbul to a language school for 2 weeks. But then there was a very bad political situation, so I could change everything. And because of the situation, I just went there for like 3 days or so. And it's okay, I want to go there on my own because we had been there together, but now I want to go there on my own and practice. And then that's what I did after 1 year of learning without him on my own. And I came back home and I had the feeling of, okay, been there, done that, and now I can quit, you know? Yeah, that's what I unfortunately stupidly did. But we're still in 2012, where I'm always very late with new technologies, and I'm a pen paper girl. You know, I love a pen, I love a paper. Like, for example, I have these glitter pens. I love glittery pens. I don't know if you see them. So this one is light green. This is just colorful with little mermaid patterns on it. I love colorful pens and nice books. For example, here this is Hungarian. It's leather. It's brown leather, and I have this book not close to me, but for all my languages in different colors. So I'm very unmodern. And so yeah, in 2012, I had no chance. No, I did watch back then. I watched Muhteşem Yüzyıl, Muhteşem Yüzyıl on YouTube, or at least I tried, but it was hard for me to understand, and I did not look for. I don't know if I looked. Did I watch that on YouTube? I don't really know, but I watched it and I didn't understand much. And it's a series, it's a TV show, and I was like, yeah, I don't understand Turkish, and I don't need it, so I just quit. You know, it wasn't like a decision; it was just something that happened. So yeah, but that was 2012 when I started, and 2013 when I gave it up again. And now we are in December of 2020, and I very spontaneously decided to learn Dutch. I think I had a fight with my boyfriend back then. He was at his place, I was at mine, and I started with this course, and I started Googling words and sentences and taking classes, and that's what happened. And then in March, no, in April, so 4 months later, April of 21, I said, hey, wait a minute. I was so good at French, and I haven't spoken a word of French in almost 16 years, 2005 to 21. And oh my God, yeah, almost 16 years. So I wanna take it up again. And then I said, but you know what? I also want to learn Spanish. So I started improving my French, and I totally started with Spanish and still was a beginner in Dutch, but it was the fun of my life to do that. And at the beginning, yeah, French and Spanish were a bit weirdly mixed in my head, and I still say things like con instead of avec. So I mix con and avec. So I say con in a French way and I say con. It happens, of course. And so yeah, for a long time it was Dutch and French and Spanish. And I always started Swedish on off at the moment again. I love Swedish, but there are always reasons why I quit it again. I think it's just kind a bit boring because it's so easy, and I realize that I love challenges, because when you read Swedish, it's a bit like Dutch, that you understand it as a German native, and I think that's a bit boring. You know, I really want to learn every word, but Swedish doesn't have cases, so that's why I love it. Many languages have cases, and they are really hard, especially when you learn Hungarian. And now let's come to Hungarian. So yeah, it was these three languages, Dutch, French, Spanish, and in 2017, something had happened already. I went to a musical, and there was this guy, and oh my God, this actor was, oh my God. And I went home and I looked for him on YouTube, and he was from Hungary, and now he's really, really completely fluent in German. He's such a talent. But back then there was just one video, and it was in Hungarian. And I saw this guy on the screen speaking Hungarian, and for me it was like, oh my God, oh my God, this is the sexiest scene ever. Like this guy in these very hard, so Beselek or Felek, I don't think that he said Felek because it means I'm afraid. But yeah, so I fell for this language so hard. And when I started having this love for languages, I said, oh my God, Hungarian would be cool. But then you read, it's so hard, me, it's so hard. And I was afraid. So then I dared to learn it, and I started with the conjugations. Honestly, I can speak kind of well now after 14 months, but still the conjugations not so much. But usually from the context, it's clear what I want to say. So, but I started with the hardest thing in this language, for me, the hardest thing. And then I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. And I gave it up. And I think we're talking about January 22 or so when I started it. And then I gave it up again. And I started learning Russian then instead. But I was just not in love with Russian. And after 4 classes, I said, no, I want to quit. Then I took up Hungarian again in when? In January. No, actually, sorry. This is actually a very important day for me. And on the 2nd of January, and I actually, I'm about to cry, 24. Yeah, January 24. And yeah, I'm crying now. I don't know if you're close enough to see that. Because today I just had a class before I started recording, and Hungarian, I always say it's like a channel. You really have to be like with a big knife, and you have to cut away those what is it, the branches? Branch? Is it the branch? Like the things from the tree. And you have to find your way through this language, and you have to fight, and you have to kick, and you have to box. And because this language is so, I don't want to say the language is hard. It's just hard to learn. It's understanding the way it works, even though I knew it from Turkish, but with these letters and with this, I can't explain it, but finding this way, it's like, you know what, if you put me into a car without a navigation system, I would not find to the next city. But it's not that driving is hard. You know what I mean? So it's just finding your way. And I think you compare it with this. Driving is not hard, but finding your way to a city. And by the way, I'm so old that I remember not having a navigation system. And I actually drove a car many years until I had one. And once you understand how the learning process has to be, it's so, okay, no, it's not so easy, but it's easier, and I love it. I'm so in love with Hungarian. I will make a video about that. I think, yeah, I will make a video about Hungarian and how I learned it. And I can tell you now that learning Hungarian and Dutch, I mean, Dutch is something I do not learn it actively. I'm listening to audiobooks, and I try to sometimes write more down. I want to learn more. I have a, by the way, here, yeah, next to me, I have a book in Dutch. So I practice it, but I'm not really learning it actively. My cat is so grumpy today. But learning languages that you really love is so different from learning languages that you know you should use them because they're important, or like French, where I say, okay, I was really good at French, it's stupid to forget it again, so yeah, I have to become better. Or if I want to go back to Disney again, then I need to go to Disneyland Paris, so I should be able to speak. Or with Spanish, yeah, most people speak it, so I should speak it as well. But this is just like a head language, and then I have the heart language, and head language definitely are French and Spanish. Heart language is Dutch and Hungarian, and English and German is like, I don't know. I do not see English as a, I don't know. I mean, of course, it's not my native language, you can tell, but it's not something that I have to learn, or I have it on the same level as German. It's just something that I speak, and it's just there. And my heart languages, Dutch and Hungarian, are just my babies. And Hungarian, today I had this class, and I had studied so hard for like 10 days or so. And after the class, I said to my teacher, can you tell that I was a bit better today? And she's like, yeah, you were like so much better. I forgot to tell you. And I wanted to tell, at the end. And I was so happy I could understand her for the first time really well. And yesterday I watched a video in Hungarian for 12 minutes and I understood it. It was called it was called slow, not super slow, slow Hungarian. But for 12 minutes, I understood everything. And this means so much. And I can tell you, oh my God, I'm talking like almost 20 minutes. So, if you love a language and if you are a part of this polyglot culture, I've never been to a gathering or so because they're always far away and I want to go definitely. But if you speak with people from all over the world, if you have people that you really like and you can communicate with them in another language, this is so cool. And everybody's journey is different. And I just want to encourage you, by the way, if you're older, I started learning languages with 36. So the actual polyglot, I want to learn all the languages style, you know what I mean? I mean, of course, in school, yeah, earlier, but it's definitely possible. But I must say I'm self-employed and there are days where I just do not work at all. Then there are days where I do work and I earn a certain amount, but many days it's just waiting and hoping that a client calls me, So I have time. And sometimes I study 12 hours per day, definitely. Yeah, in the evening, maybe 5. Sometimes I sit. Sometimes I just lie on my belly. I have this the sack filled with stuff. So I lie on my, honestly, lie and lay, it always kills me. I'm lying on my back. Yeah, I lie on my back. So not on my back, on my tummy. So on my front side, and then I read like this or write like this. And sometimes I sit. So this is what I do. I change the position. Sometimes I listen to an audiobook while cleaning the kitchen or so, but that I learn and practice actively 10 hours, 8 hours is possible. Yes, definitely. And still, I'm not where others are. There's this Turkish girl, I think she's 20 and she speaks 10 languages. Honestly, I just said to my Hungarian teacher today, sometimes it motivates me to see this. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I must be the stupidest person on earth because I'm not like this. So yeah, I think it's stupid to compare yourself, but of course we all do. I just want to tell you my story. I just wanted to tell you my story today because I think it's just interesting how people find this love. And for me, it was, I mean, I did not focus too much on this while I told it, but it was the lockdown when I started. And for me, this was so important to travel in my head, to after almost a year of being locked inside and not being able to, I had this new boyfriend to travel, to see places with him. We do this now. We go to many places in Europe now. But back then it was just not possible. So learning a language, seeing a video, seeing a person online in another language was like traveling in my head. And this was my soul was saved a bit, so I felt like being a butterfly in my head and flying around. And then the lockdown was real, but in my head I could fly and escape the lockdown when I started learning languages. And now I just love it, and I hope that one day I can speak French and Spanish and Dutch and Hungarian the way I speak now, like really fast and really without having to think at all and without so many mistakes. So yeah, guys, I wish you the best for your journey, and I'm very curious. Of course, you can write me some sentences about your journey in the comments. I'm happy to read them, and contact me if you have questions or want to book a German class with me. And otherwise, just check this channel because there are many videos for free anyway. So guys, bye, take care.